Hello everyone, welcome back to Tool Truck Tools, where we discuss everything tool truck related. Today we're going to be doing a follow-up video to a couple of our previous videos where we discussed quarter-inch electric ratchet options from various manufacturers. Today we have the Matco offering here, the Matco Infinium offering. We have the Snap-on offering, and we do not have all of these are the standard length ratchets with the exception of the Milwaukee offering, which I do not have. I only have the extended reach option, but it should be fine for comparison purposes here. Other than the length, there shouldn't be much difference. Point of note, this tool here, the Milwaukee option, is also available on the Matco truck with this one, and it is also available on the Cornwell truck. So between these three ratchets here, we have offerings from all four trucks and two offerings that are actually available on the Matco truck. Just another point of reference, the Milwaukee products are obviously sold at various retailers online, various different options, whereas these two, the Snap-on and the Matco Infinium line, are exclusively available on the trucks. I will say, just as a point of reference, also for the Milwaukee products, although they are available on the truck, and I certainly encourage you to support your tool truck dealers, uh, these products are normally can be found at a much reduced price through various retailers like Home Depot. Then you will find them either on the Cornwell or the Matco truck. Doesn't mean that's the best place to purchase it. Just pointing that out as a point of reference. We will start out with the Matco option, which is on the left here. Just one quick point of note. It appears, and I'm not going to measure it because it's just not that important, but the Snap-on and the Matco Infinium option appear to be pretty much identical in length. I'm not seeing any difference in length. There is, however, a significant increase in weight on the Matco Infinium option versus the Snap-on option. Another point of reference here, I do have batteries for each of the various platforms represented. Another point of note, the only battery that comes with, in the smaller line, that comes with a readout, at least on the battery, is the Matco Infinium option. I do find I have found these Matco Infinium batteries to be some of the more reliable batteries on the market. I've yet to have one of these fail, and I feel like this is a very quality product. This is a 3-year warranty battery, if I'm not mistaken. The Snap-on option is a 1-year warranty, and on the Milwaukee battery, I believe it's 3 or 5 years on the battery. We'll go through some quick specs here before we kind of start taking closer look at these. Let me grab my quick spec sheet here. So let's start out with price. I've got the price of the Milwaukee option that I have here. This is not tool truck pricing. On a tool truck, whether Cornwell or Matco, this product is more than likely going to be much closer in price to either the Matco Infinium option or the Snap-on option. However, if you choose to purchase it off of the truck, which in some cases makes sense, the extended reach option here retails for $249. The standard length, which is what the direct comparison would be, but I don't have it, does retail for $199. With that being said, it is not difficult to find this option either in the extended reach or the standard length significantly lower than MSRP. I would say almost always right now, all you have to do is do a little looking and you're going to find that substantially cheaper. In some cases, if you catch it on the right deal, it could be 40% or more cheaper, or come with some batteries and chargers, that type of thing. See the spec sheets here, they are all very similar in spec sheets. I do want to go through the warranty because I do think it tells a pretty good tale of what you're dealing with here. So by far the best warranty is going to be the Milwaukee warranty. Milwaukee warranty, 5 years. I have warranted some Milwaukee products. I've not had any issues. By far the best warranty, 5 years, no issues. Matco goes to 3-year warranty. I've never had to warranty a Matco Infinium product. Um, just dealing with my Matco distributor on other warranties, I don't foresee there being a problem, but it is slightly less. And the Snap-on warranty, particularly whenever you always find them in the highest price range, the 1-year warranty is pretty sad. That's something that they need to, I'd love to see increased to either 3 or 5, but at a minimum, with the price that they're charging, that should be 2 years to give people a little bit more confidence that they're going to stand behind the product that they make. I think the 1-year warranty is pretty pathetic. Price ranges on the Snap-on retail $273. Again, you could probably get that slightly cheaper based on the deal, whatever deal you're able to make on the truck, and $234 for the Matco Infinium. Again, there's always deals on the truck, so whatever you end up paying could vary, and your mileage may vary for any of these, because particularly with the Matco, with the Milwaukee options, there's just a ton of sales out there that you can find, and even sales on the trucks. But if you're paying truck prices, all of these are going to line up similar in price. What you're never going to do is, at least as of right now, is the Milwaukee warranty is always going to beat out even the Matco Infinium, and it just puts the Snap-on warranty to shame. So just something to keep in mind there. There is value in warranty. I'm sure they have a price where you can send it out to rebuild for $150 or something like that, which again is pretty pathetic whenever they're already charging the highest price of all of these. Specs are all pretty similar. The Milwaukee offering is the fastest, at least advertised, of the group. It advertises 450 RPM on the Milwaukee option. The other two, the Matco Infinium is the slowest, advertises 330 RPM, and the newest option, the Snap-on, advertises 400 RPM. Although the Milwaukee is advertised as being the fastest, it is also the lowest torque rating. Not a big difference, but it's at 35 foot-pounds of torque. And I do stand corrected, the Matco Infinium is also at 35 foot-pounds of torque. The Snap-on option does advertise 40. So it's this would be the highest. These two are going to be 35. The Matco Infinium and the Milwaukee are both going to be 35 foot-pounds. The Snap-on's going to be 40. In terms of speed, you got 450 on the Milwaukee, 400 on the Snap-on, and 330 on the Matco. So the Matco spec-wise is going to be both the slowest, of all three, and or weaker than the Snap-on. Same breakaway on the Milwaukee. So I would say if it was just a specs comparison, Matco would fall third place in all the specs, and then you would have a trade out between slightly faster versus slightly more torque. They're probably going to balance out pretty similar in application. Back to the batteries here. Again, I do find these Matco Infinium batteries to be probably the most reliable. They're about the same price as the Snap-on options for batteries. I have had to warranty some Snap-on batteries. I actually just warranted one last week whenever I picked up these. All in all, I'd say they're pretty reliable, no real issues. The Milwaukee battery, this is the 5.0 battery, 5.0 high output, which is kind of the Cadillac of the M12 line. Some would argue, particularly in the smaller tools, that the 2.5 high output is a better option, just because there is some substantial more weight here. If you were to compare the weight of this Milwaukee battery here to the weight of the Snap-on or the Matco Infinium battery. Again, also a higher amp hour battery, so bigger battery in general. So the fact that it is higher in weight is understandable, but just something to point out here, that the batteries that I have for reference here, this is the most powerful, but yet also the heaviest of all the M12 batteries. Fit and finish here, or for comparisons here, we'll just go left to right. Let's pop a battery in here. Again, only one that gives you kind of a readout on the 12 or 14 volt lines is the Matco version. Matco is slightly heavier than the Snap-on version, but it is pretty. It's also lighter than the Milwaukee version. One of the things that I noted on my previous video was the trigger, and just how good the trigger was on this Matco Infinium ratchet. Completely stand by that. One of the things that I also noticed is in the Snap-on version, it appeared that the progression was linear, where it started with the light, and then shortly followed by that, you got the turn of the anvil. I thought that the anvil came on exactly at the same time as the light on this. That's actually not true. As you'll see this here, I'm just easing in on the trigger. You're going to get the light, and then shortly afterwards, very shortly afterwards, followed by the activation of the anvil. The light on this thing, there's the light there, and there's the anvil. The light on this is kind of a joke compared to the light on the Snap-on version. It's there. I think it's there more to check a box, just to say that we have a light. There's the light, and then there's the anvil. The light option on this it's just kind of there. The trigger, I still think so far that this is going to be the best trigger of the group. Another point to mention: these are all three what I would call premium options in the world of electric ratchets. The only one that came with a boot, it's also the most expensive option, is the Snap-on. I don't know if the ones I bought just didn't have them, or if you have to. But as far as supplied with the product, I got no boot in either one of these, which I feel like should have been included. I'm sure I could get one either aftermarket or through the trucks, but I just feel like for the price they should include is just a rubber boot. I just feel like that should have been included. Another option here, another thing worth noting: the Matco Infinium option is the only option that has the bridged head. That is there for stability, strength, and to prevent splitting under high torque applications here. This is the only one of the three that does have that feature, which should add to the durability of it. Fit and finish of this, this is going to be on par with any cordless tool that I've dealt with. The quality and overall build quality is, in my opinion, top notch. Move on to the Snap-on version. Again, we went through this. It's the only option, only one that has a boot, which is also the most expensive. We did have the light ring here, which is going to set itself apart from these other two here, like hands down. We'll pop a battery in here. There you get the activation of the light, and then shortly afterwards you get the activation of the trigger, and kind of a gradual buildup. The more that I'm messing around with these triggers, I may be changing my opinion to where the Snap-on version might have a slightly better trigger than the Matco option. They're both quite good. Neither one of them you can go wrong with. I think that either one you'd be fine with. And the more I've messed with this may end up being the trigger of choice here. Weight-wise, the Matco option it's noticeably heavier. I don't have a scale here to give exact numbers, but if you were to hold them, you would notice that the Matco option is pretty much substantially heavier. On to the Milwaukee option. So Milwaukee option is not going to be a fair comparison as it relates to weight, just because this is an extended reach here, and it has a much bigger higher amp hour battery. We'll pop a battery in here and just kind of go through this. One of the things I forgot to mention, so the switch, the direction switch for both the Snap-on and the Matco Infinium options are very good. I do prefer the Matco, or excuse me, or this. I do prefer the Snap-on version. Just a little bit more material there to grab onto, a little bit better engagement. It's not quite as mushy as the Matco version. Not that the Matco version's mushy. It's just not quite as good as the Snap-on version. The Milwaukee version kind of sucks. It's, I think, by far the worst. It works, and you can buy these little attachments that will make this easier to deal with. But I just feel like, particularly with gloves in your hand, and if you were working, just getting into this one it works, and you could do it all day long. I feel like these other two here work better. They're smoother and are just more refined. The trigger on the Milwaukee is going to be the worst by far. I don't really care for the trigger at all on the Milwaukee version. It's kind of clunky. There is some gradual buildup. Either you're a fan or you hate this trigger style here that they have. I don't have a preference either way. I'm good. I don't necessarily hate the style of it. I more hate the function of just how insensitive it is, where it just kind of goes from very little power to kind of full power pretty quick. And it's also very loud. It's by far, I don't know how well this will show up on camera, but I'll do just for a sound test here. Just again, I don't know how this is going to translate, but I'll just go from slow and then gradually ease into full power here. It's the Matco version. I would say by far the Snap one is the quietest, and then here's the Milwaukee. Also the fastest, so the gears are bouncing around in there the most. But just overall, just doesn't feel as refined as either one of these two. Reliability wise, I would say they're all very reliable. I think you can have failures with any of them, but I also think that you can have a good tool that you can work with for a very long time, provided you take care of your stuff. The warranty on this one's going to be where this one shines. If you're using this every day to make your living, and you're going to drop roughly $250 to $300, between $200 and $300 on any of these options, this one here you're going to be able to buy, go to work with, and do what you need to do for 5 full years. Only 1 year here, which is pretty pathetic, and 3 years here, which is acceptable. I think the 3-year warranty is acceptable. The 1-year warranty is really not, particularly at the price point. We will pop some sockets on here. I've got a 10 millimeter here, 10 millimeter max socket here. Just pop this on here. See if we notice anything different with the socket on there. Something real different. Did bring a couple just comparisons here. Just we'll put an impact on here now. This is I think I also grabbed a Mac. Yeah, this is a Mac socket as well. We'll pop this puppy on here and see if we notice anything. Nothing real earth shattering there. We'll throw got a Cornwell universal here. If anyone is not familiar with these Cornwell USA made sockets, I feel like they're some of the best uh, sockets out there. They're if you're lucky enough to have a Cornwell dealer, which a lot of people aren't, particularly if you can catch them on sale. I would not, if you can catch them in a flyer. I don't know that I would pay full boat for them unless you can get a great deal off your off of your distributor. Same goes with any of the USA stockets. I mean, they're all good. Some are better than others, but flyer is is always the best way to get it, particularly on the Cornwell side. If any of you guys don't watch the Cornwell flyers and you have a Cornwell distributor, they do not sell online. You have to go through a distributor. Um, I think they have some of the best USA made sockets out there. Yeah, nothing. All good stuff. Nothing that really jumps off the chart there. Do the same thing here with snap-on option. Again, these are Mac sockets, except for the universal is a Cornwell. These are all Mac USA and Cornwell USA sockets. Yeah, I don't. I just feel like the snap-on may slow down a little bit more than the Matco did with the weight of the socket on there. Yeah, and that's just going by feel. I don't really have any way to scientifically measure it, but let's try universal. And let's try the Milwaukee here. So the Milwaukee, once it gets up into the higher RPM, it really starts ripping, and the it's noticeably louder. It's also again advertised as the fastest, so that could have something to do with it. It just starts to feel really unrefined, really unrefined at the higher RPM. Because I know the insider ratchet. If any of you guys have that, I get the same feeling out of that one. Not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily. It's just an observation. Probably user error there. Yeah, again, that socket popping off, I'm sure that was my fault. I'm trying to do this through a camera, so I may not have had it seated. In fact, I'm pretty positive that's the case. Again, there's nothing wrong with this here. This is by far the Milwaukee is by far the most warranted and affordable option here. And there's no doubt in my mind that it would do the exact same things that the Matco Infinity option would do, and that the Snap-on option would do at a fraction of the price with a better warranty. But when you go through first impressions and just messing with them and kind of doing direct comparisons where you can pick one up right after the other. Would say it's not quite as refined, not necessarily a bad thing, but just an observation. These two here are pretty on par. I would say that the Snap-on is probably the most refined. The fact that this has this bridged head here for added strength and durability is interesting. Don't do a ton of high torque stuff with your 1/4 inch stuff, but you never know. All in all, we'll see how they perform in the field. We'll send them out, get some actual field testing done, and see how they all hold up. And we'll report back. Again, thanks for joining Triple T. That's all we have here today. If anybody has any questions, please post them in the comments. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.